Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to LeadHerShip with Jen Majors, stories of life, leadership, and business. Here we are again, and I am so blessed and excited to bring to you, getting a little bit emotional actually, thinking about my precious, precious friend over here, Tracy. I have Tracy Snow for us all today, you guys. What a gift. What a gift she is in our world. What a gift she is in the people's lives that she gets to interact with. And I am so blessed to know her and share her with all of you today. So I just want to take a moment just to share with you how I came to know Tracy. I was working for a local university here in Fairbanks back in 2013. And I was going through a really a big time of turmoil in my life where lots of things were very disrupted and I felt very disrupted. And I was working and doing my very best. And my very good friend that I worked with, she learned about this class called Inspire Leadership Academy. It was the very first Inspire Leadership Academy that was getting ready to happen. And my friend kept telling me that I needed to know about this class. And I felt like I just did not have the capacity in my life at that time to even take on anything additionally, especially a class. And so I kept saying no. I kept saying things like, that's nice, and I don't have time for that. And my friend continued to come back to me and share with me, Jen, I really feel like you need to take Inspire Leadership Academy. And I kept saying, I don't got time for that. You see my life. And it came to be where our leader, the head leader of our business, ended up getting very sick very quickly and ended up retiring. And we were at her retirement party. And I'm sitting across from my friend and she looks at me and says, Jen, there's Tracy right over there. Why don't you just go run up to her and ask her if you can join? And the whole first session of ILA had already gone on. And I said, fine. And it was really just kind of like to get her to stop bugging me about it, that I just ran up to Tracy and said, hi, Tracy, I'm Jen Majors. I hear that I need to take this class, Inspire Leadership Academy. Is there space? And Tracy looked at me and she goes, yes, there's space. And then very quickly, I go, oh, crap, now I have to pay for it. Okay, so I went and looked at my boss, who was sitting right over. And I went over and ran over to Tisha and said, hey, Tisha, do you think that we could pay for me to go to Inspire Leadership Academy? And she instantly said, yes. And so there I came to be part of this beautiful class, Inspire Leadership Academy, that has, since 2013, has poured into my life. Tracy Snow has poured into my life through the tools and resources that she teaches. I really believe wholeheartedly that Tracy does God's work through Inspire Leadership Academy. It has changed and shifted my life in ways that I can't even fully verbalize and explain. It's not only changed my life, it's changed my marriage, it's changed my family. I really believe it's even changed the legacy that I will leave my grandchildren. So I'm grateful and I'm so excited to present her to you. So what I would love, Tracy, if you would just take a moment or take however long you'd like and introduce yourself to us and just share with us who you are, where you come from, all your peeps and everything. And thank you. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, Jen, thank you so much for having me and creating this space for all of us to learn and grow and evolve, because that is, if I know anything, the truth I know is that we are divine spiritual beings having these human experiences that are designed for our evolution. And I see that with you, and it's such a glorious opportunity for us to do this together. So I am Tracy Snow, and I am the granddaughter of the late Jenny and late Jack Irwin and the late Bill and late Emily Monroe, all of Nenana. I'm the daughter of Marie and the late Ted Monroe. And I grew up in Nenana in a very large family in a very small community. I went to school in that small community, graduated from high school, and then left and went kind of out into the world. I got a bachelor's degree from the University of Oregon in public relations. I met my love of my life, Paul Snow, who is also from a small community, McGrath, here in Alaska, and knew right off that this was going to be my life partner. From that point, we also, once we got married, we moved to California and I went back to school. So I have a master's degree in leadership psychology from the University of Santa Monica. And Paul and I, after getting married, we converted this little minivan and traveled all 48 states, because growing up in Alaska, we knew it was wonderful, but maybe there was somewhere else we wanted to raise our family. So we went all over, found some beautiful places, and really it became confirmation that Alaska is our home. We both are Alaskan natives, so we have generations upon generations of family that has walked these lands and lived life here in Alaska. And so we found that that was really confirmation that Alaska was home for us. So we moved back home after school, and we have 4 children. So my oldest is 20, my youngest is 11, and I feel so extremely blessed to get to live my life's purpose. So I know that my purpose is to use the wisdom that's been passed down to me, my creativity, to inspire and empower myself and others to consciously and intentionally create energy-rich and joy-filled life. Because what I recognize is that when we focus on creating energy-rich and joy-filled lives, we then serve the world from a very, very different place. As divine spiritual beings, having this human experience, we're always going to serve. We're actually always in service, whether we're conscious of it or not. The thing is, if we're not taking care of ourselves and ensuring that we are making choices that create energy, create joy for ourselves, we're still going to serve the world, but we're going to serve from this undertow. And that undertow is going to come with overwhelm, exhaustion, stress, resentment, all of those things. On the other hand, when we start directing our attention here, inward, and we start recognizing that we are divine spiritual beings, that we are blessed to have this little blink of an eye human experience, and that we get to make choices in that. And when we consciously and intentionally make the choices that create joy and create energy, we serve, but we don't serve from that undertow. We then serve from this overflow out into the world that doesn't come with the overwhelm and the exhaustion. Yes, we're still human. We're still having a human experience, so we can get tired, and we can make choices to fill ourselves back up, revitalize and rejuvenate ourselves. So I certainly feel blessed to be living my purpose. So thank you again, Jen. I remember that day when you came up to me at the late Bernice's retirement party, and I never let people in to academies if they've missed that first module. It's really when we build the cohesiveness and the group. So that rarely happens. And I remember when you came up to me, there was no resistance on my part. It just felt so right. And I've learned to know that that is divinity, and that when we follow those things, magic happens. And magic certainly has happened in me having you in my life. So thank you for having me here this morning.
Oh, yes, you're so welcome. Yes, it has been amazing. And I can remember when I went through Inspire Leadership Academy, and I was very I explain it like surface level. I was not ready to really dig in. It was just very surface level for me. And so I did my very best going through it at the time, and found myself 3 years later. And I remember after class, I walked up to you at graduation and was like, I would love to be your friend. I remember saying that, you were like, oh, I'd love to be your friend too. And I was like, okay, beautiful. And yet I wasn't really ready to connect on deep levels with people, you know? And so I think we stayed a little bit connected. We would see each other here and there. But then in 2016, about 3 years later, I was going through, which I've told this story during this podcast before, where this huge shift for me was starting to take place. And I found myself with an incredible amount of anxiety to the point where I was really struggling leaving my home. And for about 3 months there, I barely left my house. And I remember calling Tracy up and saying, hey, Trace, I can't leave my house and I need you to help me get out. And I also need you to help me, teach me how to be social and teach me that it's safe for me to be out. And so we started coaching. And you're a certified life coach through your education and service. And so we started coaching pretty regularly. And you started teaching me tools on how to be open and to live life open rather than closed, and to start to learn how to trust the universe instead of thinking that I was somehow going to be in danger. Start to replace the beliefs that I had been holding for so long, that because of the trauma I had experienced, I took on those beliefs and was living my current life as if I was still that little girl that was getting abused. Instead, right now, I'm an adult woman who has choice now. And so you started to teach me that about my choice and about how to shift those beliefs and the thoughts that I was holding. And then pretty soon after, you gave me one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given, which was the opportunity to come back and assist you with ILA. And so I came back and have been since then, coming back and participating as an assistant in the class. And I do that even today. So that has been such a blessing and such an incredible experience. When it first started, it was like I just needed to be like steeped in it. And so when I came and assisted, I was really just kind of a practice student and oftentimes just there helping other students through the process. And it allowed me to really just get these tools and resources inside of me, and I let it to sink deeper and deeper every year that I came back, to the point now where it is just part of who I am. And just, it just continues to open me and bless the people around me. And so I agree with you, Trace, that we have been divinely connected, and it's such a cool thing. We'll oftentimes kind of joke that if there really is a such thing as past lives, that our little spirits have found each other every time we've lived and somehow gotten connected. And even our babies, I have 2 children, and Tracy has 2 children who are born on the same day. And so how unique and cool is that, that we just have these little synchronicities of connection. And I just obviously adore you. And so, Tracy, tell me about, or tell all of us about Inspire Leadership Academy and how this kind of came to be, and what your...
Oh, you are frozen really bad. If you can see me on...
Oh, am I frozen? We'll get through it.
You're breaking up pretty bad here. I think we have not a great connection, but I think you're asking me to share about Inspire Leadership Academy.
Yes, please. Yeah.
So I'm just going to go with that. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes. Okay.
So I feel like, you know, most of us are going through life and we're pretty conditioned to go through life pretty unconscious and unintentional. We learn to react to life circumstances. Whatever occurs out there, we feel like that's our job, is to react to those things. I feel like I am blessed beyond measure in that I grew up in a family where, first of all, I was marinated in love. Like, we have a large extended family. And so there was a lot of love in that family. And I know that when you're surrounded by love, even when you have, you know, yes, I went through those times, preteen times and stuff, when you're self-conscious and you're not sure of yourself. And yet when you're marinated in that type of situation, you can take a lot more risks in life. You can try a lot more things. I also had a mom who was thirsty for information and to grow and evolve. So we were kind of marinated in learnings and teachings by Marianne Williamson, by Wayne Dyer, by Jack Boland. And so I feel blessed in that I grew up unconsciously being conditioned very differently than I think most of the world is, which gave me the opportunity as I became an adult. It was much easier for me to choose to be awake, to be conscious, to do kind of the harder things that maybe aren't as comfortable, right, in life. And so I've felt since a young girl. On top of that, I was also blessed with being extremely sensitive. And what I recognize now as an adult is that means my senses were very raw, very perceptive, picking a lot up. So I can remember even as a young girl watching interactions between my grandparents or my parents and being able to sit back and say, wow, isn't that interesting? And be curious about those things. So then as an adult, I guess when you are blessed so mightily, you have a craving inside of you, or at least I do, to give back, to help others. When I've been blessed to live such what I call a cush life, I had a beautiful childhood. I've been surrounded by glorious friendships. I have a beautiful marriage and children and family life. And so there is this draw to then give back because I see people around me who were not exposed to the things that I was exposed to, were not marinated in love and Marianne Williamson when they were growing up and their limbic systems were developing in their brain. And so because I'm also somebody so sensitive, I have known from a young age that pain is inevitable. Life comes with pain. My dad tragically died in an airplane crash when I was 16 years old. And so you learn, yes, there's pain in life. When you have a huge family with that much love, there's also lots of loss. So from a young age, I lost grandparents and aunties and uncles, the physical connection with them that were vital life, streams for me. So yes, there's pain in life. But I was very acutely aware, I think, for as far back as I can remember, that suffering is optional. And if we can wake up and become conscious to that and know that, oh, right now, right here, my dad's not dying, right? I'm not going through the tragedy of that. So I still get to be in relationship with him. I get to choose that. And so that is really where ILA came from. Is this real desire to start sharing with people that, hey, you too can have an energy rich and joy filled life. And from that, people often think, well, that's all great, fine and dandy, wonderful. You have this joyful and energy rich life. Lucky you. The reality is that when we are joy-filled and energy-rich, everybody wins. Everybody wins. When I have an abundance of joy and I have an abundance of energy, when you do, when others do, we then pour into the world very differently. So that's really where ILA stemmed from, is my desire to share the wisdom and all of the things that have been given to me and to be able to serve that out into the world. When I first started doing this type of work, I was in a leadership training program and realized, wow, this is the kind of work I want to do. I want to be able to facilitate learning. And as a young girl, I used to always think I was going to be like a teacher, like an elementary school teacher. And I loved to go into the teachers' classrooms after and help them clean blackboards or anything, just so I could write on the board and stuff. So I think I always knew I was going to be a teacher of some sort. So when I started taking this training and realized, I want to facilitate, I was blessed enough it was written into the contract because it was for my native corporation, that a shareholder would eventually take that over. Well, as it occurred, the universe decided I was ready before I knew I was ready. I was supposed to intern for like 5 years, and I think a year in, tables turned and I had to take over that program, and with really very little on my end. And I remember just having to pretend at the beginning, just pretend. The blessing that I had is all of that education, my whole life, not just my degrees that I've gotten, right? My whole life, I was being educated for this type of work. And so when I would get less out of myself, I can remember the first academy that I did for my native corporation when I had to take over. I remember thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. There's all these, they think I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. So I remember being able to stop, and I pictured myself, and I still use this to this day. Sometimes when we're in the circle and big things, people are processing really big things. And sometimes I think, oh my goodness, I think this is above my pay grade. I don't know if I can do this, right? And Tracy, having this human experience, can't do that. I mean, so what I've learned to do is stop in those moments. I picture myself as like a hollow vessel. And I often to this day sit in the circle and say, okay, God, here I am. Use me. I'm not going to trust that I have this information, because I don't know if I do. Maybe it was implanted on one of those trips listening to Wayne Dyer in the car with my mom, but come on, something's got to be here. But I sit back and open up. And that's what I did in that first academy. Is I spent a lot of time just trusting, staying open, and trusting that I'm guided by something so much grander than this right here. So, from there, there was a lot of times where I would just have to say, okay, well, I got to say something. I've got to do something. And all of a sudden I started speaking, and these words, I'd be like, oh yeah, what's she saying? Yes, yes. And here it was me saying those things wherever they were coming from. But I do feel like each and every one of us are blessed beyond measure. It's that Marianne Williamson quote, right? That we've talked about so much, and that a lot of Inspire Leadership Academy is built upon this idea that it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And as we're liberated from our own fears, and in the early years, I was liberating myself from my fears quite regularly. When we do that, our presence liberates others. When we let our light shine, and to me, that letting my light shine was very hard in the earlier years. Again, I felt like I was so blessed and lived this really cush life. And I looked out around me and I saw a lot of people I love suffering with addictions, suffering in relationships that were really hard on them. And so I thought, who am I to let my light shine? That's being really disrespectful to other people who are in the darkness right now. So it was a process for me to recognize that, no, actually, as I let my light shine, as I take care of myself, and I ensure that I'm living my most energy-rich and joy-filled life, what I'm doing is giving others permission and the demonstration of how to also let their light shine, how to also serve from that abundance of joy and that abundance of energy. And it still pops up sometimes where the ego will try to tell me, like, how dare you flaunt your relationships or your beautiful, healthy family in front of the world when so many others are, how dare you flaunt your blessings? And each time I notice that's just that ego trying to have me step back into the safety, right? To play small. But as Marianne Williamson says, our playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that others won't feel insecure around you. And so it's a daily practice for me of choosing to step forward into that growth and to shine, to share the wisdom, the knowledge, the joy, the energy that I have with the world, just as I feel like I'm doing here with you today, Jen. And thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share my light with all of your viewers.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Tracy. And it really is, as you're talking, I just see you like as a hope dealer. Like that's who you are. You deal hope to us all. And we need us people who weren't steeped in love as small children. And then we live lives that are not loving lives. We need that light to be able to see, oh, I see there's something different, because what we don't know what we don't see, or we don't know what we don't see. And so when we see you, then we see, oh, there's an opportunity for me to also experience that kind of joy in my life and that healing in my life. So thank you. Thanks for dealing some hope over this way. And it just,
thank you.
Yeah. And when people ask, so people will often ask, so what is Inspire Leadership Academy? And they'll ask alumni. And there's how many alumni now of the program? Like over 400?
Yeah, right between
at least
300 and 400.
Yeah. And so, and you'll often hear the answer, well, I don't really know like how to explain that fully to you, except what I tend to kind of have my answer be is it's leadership from the inside out. So in order for us to really be the leader we need to be on the outside, we have to go inside first. That changing external circumstances, changing our marriage, changing our job, changing our house, whatever, isn't going to do the work in us. Those things will naturally shift and change to be what we want to experience when we come home to ourselves and do the work inside of ourselves first. And then it just shows up in our life. And so it has really been such a miraculous experience. And just seeing the way that people who come in as students into the class, when they start and as they go through, seeing some of the most amazing shifts in people and the most amazing sacred experiences shared together. It is a sacred circle. We sit in a circle, which is meant for an absolute beautiful purpose. And as we do that, it just becomes like sacred ground there. There is work being done that is just changing the world. So thank you. And tell us, what do you have? So sorry? What did you just say?
Asking, what do I have that what?
That you have to offer us? Like, what do you, because you not only do Inspire Leadership Academy, you're the owner of Inspire Consulting. So we have Inspire Leadership Academy, which I'll tell you guys about, and I'll tell you how to register and become a part of that. But what else do you offer all of us?
Yeah. Okay. So I hear you. And I've been doing this for 20 years now. And still, when people ask me, what is Inspire Leadership Academy, it's often hard to share because it's an experiential leadership development program. And so everybody's experience is going to be very different. And everybody takes ILA at such different levels. I mean, you shared the first time you went through ILA that you were taking it what you kind of labeled as surface level. Well, that is, I mean, we are, as divine spiritual beings, having this human experience. Every one of us is doing the absolute best we can. It's in our DNA to do the absolute best we can, given the experiences, the exposure, the tools, the conditioning, all of that we've experienced up until now. So it is a different experience for everyone. And it's really based upon this knowing that, first of all, as divine spiritual beings, we have all the answers. We have all the wisdom. In ILA, I love to tell the story about the guy, he's out looking in the street light, right? He's frantically searching out under this big bright street light. And a second gentleman comes along and says, "Hey, what's up?" And he says, "I lost my keys." The second guy says, "Well, I'll help you." So they're both frantically searching around under the street light. for the keys. And finally, the second gentleman asked the first, "Are you sure you lost your keys here?" And the first gentleman says, "Well, no, I lost them in the house, but the lighting is so much better out here." And
Yeah.
it sounds ridiculous, but that's how most of us go through life. We are conditioned to look out there to say, okay, I need inspiration from something out there. I need wisdom from something out there. I need clarity or answers or guidance. It's all here. So Inspire Leadership Academy is really about shifting inwardly and knowing that we have all the wisdom we need. We have the answers. We have the clarity. We just might not have the tools or the conditioning that allows us yet to have access to that. So ILA is all about learning tools and skills to start a new paradigm, a new way of looking at ourselves, a new way of looking at the world, and starting to shift that to say, oh, what if I am brilliant, talented, gorgeous, fabulous? Like, what if I am a divine spiritual being? And what if this human experience is designed for my evolution? So then where am I limiting myself from that evolution? What kind of barriers have I put in place? Rumi has the beautiful quote that says, your job is not to search for love. Your job is to look for all the barriers you've put in between you and love and to remove those barriers. That's really, for me, ILA is all about saying, what are those barriers that I've put to me being this divine spiritual being, having this human experience? And so it's a 5-module academy where we meet in person 3 days for 5 months. And then there's coaching, one-on-one coaching in between each of those modules. And you're building a family there also. As I mentioned, I was blessed enough to be marinated in a family. So I know that we are designed for connection. We are designed, if we're going to live our highest levels of joy, of energy, of health, of happiness, that only occurs when we are in relationship, when we're in connection. And so I know that a lot of people were not as blessed as I am from birth to have that type of family. And so ILA also creates that family so that we can have that connection, because it's most easiest to learn about ourselves when we can have some reflection in that. So ILA also provides that space where we can see ourselves reflected in other people in that circle and learn from the diversity and the richness of everybody in that circle. So that's ILA. On top of ILA, I also, as you mentioned, do life coaching. Now, I used to, way back 20 years ago, when I first started doing Doyon Leadership Academy, which is ILA just for Doyon Native Corporation, I used to do all the trainings and the coaching. And then I started having babies and I realized, oh, this is where my heart is. Like, I love me some motherhood. And so that's where I really want to spend every waking moment. So then I started hiring a coach to come in and do the coaching piece. And so I hadn't done a lot of one-on-one coaching for a long period of time. And then COVID hit and we couldn't meet in person to do the leadership academies. And so all of a sudden, just very organically, more and more alumni started showing up. People wanted connection. People were craving a sounding board and craving being seen and seeing themselves. And so I had a tremendous outpouring of alumni that came to me looking for coaching. And so I just really organically moved back into one-on-one coaching. My kids are older now, and so I'm finding that I have more and more time for myself. So I've opened up that coaching sessions and have really been gaining so much for myself. And that coaching has really been filling me up. During COVID, it also became apparent that I don't want to be limited by just being able to physically be with people, right? I started doing my coachings online and found that they can be just as effective And so then I discovered, wow, I want to ensure that I can always have this type of connection, even if we're in a pandemic and I'm locked in my house and can't leave, right? And so I had this idea probably for the last 12 years. I've been wanting to do like a community, mainly of my alumni. It started out of Inspire Leadership Academy, because as you mentioned, there's becoming so many alumni that it started out, I wanted to do gatherings with them. And then during COVID, it really provided this space, this knowing, these opportunities for me. I've created what is called Inspire Life Community Membership. Life stands for looking inside for empowerment. And it is a place where we can come together there on the first of each month. We do a visioning and intention setting because, as you know, I believe we are designed to consciously and intentionally. It doesn't mean we just sit back and joy and energy pour themselves in. It really is that we consciously and intentionally work every day to create our abundance of joy, to create our abundance of energy, and to remove any of those obstacles that are in between us and living that ultimate joy and energy. And so on the first of every month, we have a Zoom gathering where we set our intentions and we create our vision for how we want to be and what we want to experience for that month. Also looking back and acknowledging and prizing and sharing gratitude for what we've created the month before. And then every month I upload a new masterclass to that membership. So all members have like a masterclass library where it's a lot of just intentional living skills done at your own pace. You've got a workbook for each masterclass. You could take 2 months to go through a masterclass. You could take 2 hours to go through a masterclass. So those are there, and it's just another way that I feel like I get to live my purpose of inspiring and really empowering myself first and foremost, because even though I've been doing this work for 20 years, I still, I joke because I hear the Britney Spears song, "Oops, I did it again," going off in my head as I catch myself in judgment or I catch myself in some kind of depleting dynamic of some sort. My angel wings have certainly not sprouted yet. So I'm still a spiritual being having this human experience. And so by having ILA, by doing the coaching, by creating this, the Inspire Life community membership, these things first and foremost keep me conscious, keep me intentional, keep me practicing the things that have been passed down from me. We were just been talking, there's a native basketball tournament going on here. And so you go to the games and you see all your aunties, uncles, cousins, and you sit, and there's these beautiful feeds that start on Facebook around, hey, I found out I was so-and-so's cousin and all this lineage. And I found out recently how close a friend of mine, her husband's family and my grandma Jenny's family, my great grandma and his great grandpa were actually siblings. So we're, fairly close. And so it's brought up for me. I was sitting last night going to sleep thinking about, oh my goodness, it's going to get me emotional right now. I come from this line of divine spiritual beings having extraordinary human experiences. And I think about my great grandma, Bessie, who is my friend's grandpa's sister, right? And I think about that she was still living a nomadic lifestyle where she was actually surviving, right? Surviving in some of the harshest climates, and in that still connecting and living life and creating joy and energy for herself. And I think about, man, what would Grandma Bessie think if she was here today and she sat in on a master class, in Inspire Life community membership? Like, what would she think? Because I don't think she definitely didn't have the exposure that we have now, where we can Google anything, or I can watch. This morning as I was getting ready, turn on an YouTube inspirational stories and have access. She certainly did not have that. And she certainly didn't have the capacity to sit and contemplate on things because she was out hunting, fishing, trapping, surviving. So yes, I do feel like all the things that I get to dabble in. I'm also currently writing a book from an experience that I had a couple, 4 years ago, and some learnings that I received through that experience. So I'm working on a book. I really love poetry. So I have a book of poetry that I'm considering publishing. I've written children's books for my kids that one day I hope to publish those books. I have journals and things that I give. I know, Jen, when we were coaching, I provided you with a daily journal. And so I'm hoping to have some of those out soon for sale so people can use those as tools to continue to consciously and intentionally create their most energy rich and joyful life. Because for every single one of you watching here, I just want you to know that I see you. You are a divine, glorious spiritual being, and you're having this human experience. And in that, you get choice. You get to choose. Are you going to wake up? First of all, are you just going to wake up? And in that, awareness is 90% of the process. So setting that intention to say, okay, where can I do better? Where can I take better care of myself? Where can I take better care of the people around me? Where can I fill myself and serve from that overflow into the world? So I see you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I love to listen to you tell stories about your family and where you come from and the blood that runs through your veins, how it comes from these mighty warrior women who were giving birth on with sled dogs in the middle of nowhere and were fighting off. Did you say one of your grandmas fought off like a bear or something like that?
That was Grandma Bessie, actually. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And I see those women in you, Tracy. I see those women in you every day of every moment. You are them. Woo.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in true Jen Majors fashion, this is just how we roll.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I love this. This is life. This is really what it's about. We can swim in that shallow, or we can dive down, and down deep is where the pearls definitely reside. And to be able to sit here and just share pearls with you, Jen Majors, down in the deeps. Yeah.
Yes. And so if somebody wanted to join your Inspire Life community, how would they go about doing that? Okay.
So it's pretty easy. If you want to join the Inspire Life community, I am opening it back up just for people from this podcast right now. If somebody listens, typically I only open the doors in May and November for people to become members, just so I'm not feeling like I'm always in that recruiting mode. Like I really want to focus on the members that I have right now. But I will open the doors and leave those open so that if people here, find out here, all you have to do is just go to inspirelifecommunity.com. And awesome. You'll see an opportunity there. It talks a lot more about it and what's available through the membership, and you can register right there in the membership.
Wow, you guys, what a blessing that she's opening up her community just for us. Wow. Thank you, Tracy. What a privilege. What an honor. And two, I do not want to forget that Inspire Leadership Academy is coming up. It's only a couple times a year that you open the doors. And so this fall, starting in August, another class begins and it'll run through December. And so you want to not miss out. There's only 20 spots available, correct? Only 20 or so spots available. And so you want to get signed up. So you're going to go to inspireleadershipacademy.com and you can find her registration right there and get signed up. At least hold your spot. If you can pay right away, beautiful, get in there and pay right away. But if you need work to pay or you're getting a grant to pay or something like that, you can hold your spot and Tracy will facilitate payment after the fact. So I am so excited, Tracy Snow. Thank you so much for being here with us today and just blessing us with just the gift that is you. And I am proud of you. You are incredible. Keep doing the work that you're doing because it is blessing us all. And two, you'll notice that there's some glitchy stuff going on in the podcast today. We're recording. Tracy's at home. I'm here at my office. And in true Alaska style, we've got some internet glitching going on. So if you saw a little fuzziness or our faces stuck or not hearing everything, just do your best. It's just how it is. We're just going to accept and trust that you're going to get what you need to get from it. And so thank you for joining us today and being here with us. If you have any questions, reach out to Tracy through her website, and her contact information is there as well. And I'm here as well. And until next time, my friends, thank you so much for being here. And we hope that your next week and the whole entire year in life is just blessed beyond measure.